Now more than ever, we have an opportunity to be a positive force in the world, to help heal the divide, to treat each other and ourselves with respect. But with so many tools out there, from meditation to physical training, proper nutrition, therapy, and so many others, we all need a little help navigating all the options. Join us as we share in-depth information, insights, and thought-provoking discussions that will help answer your questions about how to stay calm, cool, and connected during these times. Welcome to Calm, Cool, and Connected, your guidebook to peace of mind.
Hello, and welcome to Calm, Cool, and Connected. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Fedrick. The environments we spend the most time in can have a huge impact on our mood states, our daily functioning, and our general state of mind. Anything from the colors, the fixtures, the lighting, it can all really influence not only how we feel about that space, but also our mindsets in general. Joining us today is Sarah Bendrick, a licensed landscape contractor, small business owner, TV host, and author. Sarah's going to chat with us about ways to create a space that promotes a healthy state of mind. Hi, Sarah. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you here with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you're currently doing.
Sure. So my background is in landscape architecture. That's what I went to college for. However, I went into landscape contracting and design for professionally, but my background is in that. So design is super important to me, whether it is creating a space in somebody's backyard or front yard. The spaces that we live in are so important and influence us so much, just like you said. So it's a very rewarding career to be able to change the way that people live and feel in the spaces that they already own.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And I'm sure lots of creativity, and you have to really be strategic with how you're going about that. How do you guide people to create that outdoor space that really promotes a healthy, peaceful lifestyle?
Sure. So I think one of the first things I ask people is how do they intend to use the space? These are things that you want to think of. Do you entertain with a lot? Do you have a big family? Does that bring you joy? Do you have more intimate gatherings, which is maybe another couple, or is it just you and one other person? How do you want to set up your yard to use it for your lifestyle? So that's usually where I start with people. And then I start bringing in the aesthetics and the different vibes or feelings they want to get when they're in those spaces. So whether it's more of a relaxing space or it might be more of a fun space that's, big, bold colors or entertaining in a different way. So each person is different.
And how do you help people decide what elements would make the most sense for them? So when I'm thinking, if I were to use your help, I would say, I have no idea. I can tell you what I want to do back here, but I would have no idea. How do you help people to figure that out?
Sure. So it's actually kind of funny. Most people want almost the same thing. They just want it a little bit different. So most people want a place to cook, a place to sit, or dine, both. A place they can potentially lay out and read a book, and then open space. Some people want vegetable gardens. So those are the more popular things I see. Obviously, there's other things like pools and stuff like that, but those aren't necessities. Those are, let's add this on because we want it or something like that. But my job is to guide people with their desires, but also help them discover new ones, or maybe be like, you know what, you don't need a 10-foot barbecue. Wouldn't it be so much better if we offered you shade? Because that way, if you're out here, you can be under this umbrella or under this shade tree, under this pergola, to make the space more comfortable to be in. So if you have, there's so many ways. The really cool thing about landscape design and landscape construction in general is you can really make whatever you want. Obviously, there's limitations of where you are climate wise, the space, square footage that you have, and budget. All those things factor in, but those offer creative challenges in a way to get to a goal for the homeowner.
And when you think of a balanced yard, so when somebody tells you they want this, that, and the other, and it sounds like you're kind of guiding them of, hey, maybe let's tone this back or add this in. What is a balanced yard? How would you describe that?
Sure. So a balance, it's really interesting. People always talk about they have an idea, like you said, they have an idea of what they want, but oftentimes we lead with low maintenance. And if low maintenance is your driving factor, you're really compromising a lot. So, in terms of how a space feels, the versatility of it, just general layout of the space, because you could put concrete back there and a fence, and that's very low maintenance, but it doesn't really offer a lot to the person. So I think when people are leading with low maintenance, I like to try and balance that in a way that, like, hey, let's not make that the only goal. Let's
Mm.
balance that with, like, what other feelings do you want to have here? If you want it to feel relaxed and calm, like, we need to have plants. um, and although it sounds crazy, a lot of people, when they go lean towards low maintenance, they remove living, changing things from the space, but that's
Sure.
also what makes the space feel alive and gives it the character, makes you feel good about being out there. So I think it's really important for a balanced yard to make sure that you have places that you can lay out, as well as places that you can incorporate your garden spaces that are your yard is still breathing. What I mean by yard is still breathing is having open mulch spaces where you have different plants, you have soil, you have, basically, if you have a lawn or garden and stuff like that, there's energy being transferred from the
Mm.
ground and up. And although you can't see it, you can sense it. And when you
Ah.
remove all of that in a space, it becomes more or less a dead space.
And so what are the benefits when we're thinking about mindset and healthy lifestyle? You talk about like the science behind even touching the soil, touching the plants, and as you're describing the energy release from them, tell us about that. What is the science behind that?
Sure. So there's a lot of studies out there that show just like touching and being in physical contact with nature is actually really good for your health. There's chemical changes that happen. In fact, just being outside and staring at trees for as little as 5 minutes can significantly reduce your stress, which is kind of amazing. And there was another study about people in hospital rooms who had a view of a brick wall versus a view of a garden, and the people with the garden view healed significantly faster than those with one of a brick wall. So there's a lot of psychological benefits to having nature in your own yard, and in a way that is calming and relaxing. And so when looking at doing a landscape, I try to encourage people to keep that in mind with what they're trying to do, is have those views, have the beautiful yard, include the plants and the hardscape in a way that really mesh to benefit the homeowner.
Right. And I mean, that does make a lot of sense. It's a lot more relaxing when you're surrounded. It's why people go on hikes. It's why they sit at the beach or, places with beautiful scenery, because it is relaxing. What do you think is the biggest struggle for people when they are trying to decide how to design their yard?
I'd probably say budget,
Oh,
especially
sure.
especially nowadays, because with the inflation and all that stuff, it really does pinch down, and landscape is not on the top of most people's budget. It is a luxury. You don't have to have it to survive. At the same time, when you think about what it offers, you really got to question, well, can you it really adds so much value to, I know we're not talking about like ROI and stuff like that, but like your curb appeal and all those other things, when you invest in your landscape, increases your house property value and all of that. But more importantly, it increases the way you feel about your space, but also feel in your space.
Yeah.
So I try and encourage people to be outside, and when they have a space that they feel comfortable being in, they're going to go out there and they're going to enjoy that space. They're going to be less stressed. You'll spend more time with your family around a fire pit than you would otherwise if you didn't have it. So bringing those elements in that can bring you together to have quality time with people, that help in so many ways.
Yeah, and it sounds like the biggest benefit being quality of life, the
Yeah.
the way that you feel in general, and having somewhere to go, like you're saying, whether it's to connect with people or just to relax, to look at the greenery. When people
Yes.
present that struggle of budget, what is
Mhm.
maybe a couple solutions you might offer?
Sure, that's a great point. So, although landscaping, I would say, is like a luxury, like it's something that we add on to our lives. You don't have to, like, having a high-end yard is not the only way to have these benefits. Like, you could have a very budget, DIY friendly yard, and in fact, the more you're involved in the yard, the better for your health it is. The more you're touching the soil, you're more out there breathing the fresh air, you're getting physical exercise. So you don't have to spend a ton of money to get the benefits. You can DIY and create beautiful spaces without that as well. So one of like the biggest tips I give people on a budget is to figure out projects that you can get the most value for. So whether
Mm.
that's going on sites like Craigslist or other things where you're getting recycled products and creating your own fire pit. I've a few times created fire pits out of broken driveways where you get the concrete and you just take the blocks and you rebuild them in a circle in a way. And so like there's plenty of ways to, so that other than labor cost is free.
Yes.
um, or you could spend, $10,000 on one. There's a huge range. So
Sure. But the point being, it is possible. It's just how you go about
yes,
doing it and being resourceful.
yeah,
Where can
exactly.
where can people find you? Are you online, social media? Tell us where you can be found.
Sure. So find me on Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I'm on all of those. If you look for me, Sarah Bendrick, it's at Sarah Bendrick, and that's Sarah without an H. So check me out there. I'd love to answer any questions, and I share content all the time. And then I also have a landscape book that you can buy on my website as well, which is sarahbendrick.com.
Very cool. Well, thank you for the great tips, Sarah. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning into this episode of Calm, Cool, and Connected. Make sure to find us on Facebook and Instagram, and also make sure to rate and subscribe to our podcast so that others can discover our content as well. Thank you again for joining us on this episode of Calm, Cool, and Connected.